we're looking forward to, more than anything, the start of playing somebody outside of ourselves. So I think you hear that common refrain from most college teams right now. They get tired of playing against themselves. We need feedback and information and things we can grow and learn that other teams will provide. So one of the benefits of playing two good teams, and in particular starting with a good veteran, aggressive team in Loyola that's well coached. Drew's done a great job over there. Is you get immediate feedback, and I think that's a really good thing as we continue to prepare for the opener and for the start of the season here in a couple weeks. So we will approach it as an exhibition. So the lineups and the rotations will maybe look a little bit different as we're still working through some things. You guys probably know the Fabian is out, still going through some. He's an academic redshirt as of now. Cruz has been out for the better part of a month with an injury, a lower body injury, but he is making good progress, so he will not play. He's not ready to play in live action, certainly against a good team. So we'll be without Cruz. I know we're all anxious to see him, as are we, and it's disappointing for him, but it's the right decision for him to sit him out. So, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for Loyola and DePaul to be doing an exhibition, and I know there's thoughts about doing something in the future in terms of a regular game, and we'll see where that heads. So, questions?
Why was it important? Last year you guys focused on perimeter shooting. Why was it important for you guys as a staff to diversify your offensive profile just as a team? Well,
when you look at it, I just felt like as we went through league play in particular, Nick, there were too many games right now where we felt like at times we were physically overwhelmed, and there were times where we weren't quite as diverse as we needed to be offensively. But we will continue to play the way that we played. Even though our team is a little bit different, it might not look identical, but the idea behind, shooting a lot of threes and playing with pace in the half court and the full court is what we strive to do. But our challenge this year, more than anything, is to be the most efficient offensive team we can be as a group. And we lacked some of that last year, so we need to grow in our offensive and defensive efficiency, and we feel like having a little bit more of a versatile attack should help that.
With Isaiah, the last time we talked, you said he has ways to go with his development. I guess what kind of have you seen from him over the past few months?
Yeah, I still want to evaluate, him in practice before we decide on a red shirt or not. But I still want to see him more. Isaiah's done a great job, primarily with the scout team, but he's done a great job. So,
what has Caleb brought to you in your first couple, finally being able to watch him in practice?
Yeah, I think Caleb's a great kid. Caleb Banks is a great kid. He really is. Wants to learn, hungry to learn. My biggest challenge for him is he has to continue to improve. Quite honestly, he's got to improve his motor and his physicality to be able to be the kind of player we believe he can be. He's not there yet. He's just not. So I'd like to say, he's exactly where we want him to be with that kind of stuff. He's not. He's got to improve his motor and his physicality, and he's still learning our system. We're very much a work in progress. I feel like in some ways, I just think we're very much a work in progress right now, and I think most teams are. I think we are still looking for a group right now, a small group that is going to lead us in difficult times and challenging times. And if you look at our team last year, it really evolved as the year went on. And you had really Isaiah and Troy emerge as the year went on. And our three returning starters, they just kind of played. And they didn't really have a role in terms of influencing the group and moving it in a direction outside of their play. So the challenge for them right now is we've got to figure out who's that group that group of guys that's going to influence our team in a positive way when things don't go well. It was clearly last year that was Isaiah. That's why we played so well late in the year, because he was phenomenal with that. And then Troy. So we're quite honestly looking for that. And if you said, hey, what's one thing that's been evident in practice that we need to grow in, that's near the top of the list.
What do you want to say to the DePaul community about this season for fan turnout and stuff like that?
No, we're really excited to kind of build off the competitiveness of last year's group and how we finished, but we know we got a lot of work ahead of us. So I would just continue to encourage them and challenge them to be what they were late in the year when we played Georgetown here and it was really loud and we had some really positive energy. They were phenomenal, and they stayed with us through a tough stretch, and I give them a lot of credit. But, our play has to speak for itself, and, you don't want to put too much into the start of the season, but hopefully they can see some things that really inspire them to continue to come out. And like I said, they were phenomenal with us last year. And there is some familiarity with this team, with people who watched us last year, so they know some familiar faces, and that helps to not quite have 15 new players like we did last year, So.
What are your expectations for NJCJ late in the season?
Grow as players, and as I mentioned just a minute ago, they have to be able to influence the team in a positive direction when things go sideways. When there are challenges. Yeah. They have to do that. And I think Brandon Macklin will play a major role in that. He's emerged really as a guy that the guys look to.
What works well when those three are together playing on the court?
I think there's certainly a familiarity with those three guys. All three of them have a level of athleticism. But we didn't bring those three guys back. Those three guys also need a group to help them. But I think all three of those guys, the thing I appreciate about all three of them is through the summer and through the fall, I don't think they've hardly missed a practice. They've been really consistent in their work. And we know how important just availability is. They're durable kids. But they are, let's be honest now, the challenge for them is to take another step as a player when they have a little more tension around them right now. And that's not an easy thing. So they'll continue to grow through the ups and downs, which is natural for players trying to take the next step, as players.
Coach, talk about the fit of Brandon on the team, not only as an athlete, but also as a person, because a lot of the young guys I talked to today especially were saying that he's been one of the most vocal about taking them under his wing and kind of showing them the ropes as an older guy.
It's clear he's going to have a real impact as influencer. Influencer has a different meaning nowadays, so I hesitate to say that word. Goodness gracious. But a leader, someone who's really moving the group in a positive direction. There's no doubt he's going to have a major role on that. They respect him. He's a worker. He's a great communicator. He cares about the team, all the qualities you look for in a leader. And I think that's why young guys and older guys have kind of been drawn to him.
You guys have had several players this year that have international ties.
Right.
What is the difference between an international prospect and a domestic prospect, if there is one?
Well, you have varying opinions on that. The international players that we brought in, let's take Ilya, for example. So Ilya has 2 years remaining, 2 years of eligibility remaining. He comes in right now with a great deal of experience playing and being coached kind of as a pro, So his ability to read situations and understand things on the floor is much different than somebody else that were certainly a young player. And even a domestic player, I think those guys spend a lot of time being pros over there, and their IQ and their ability to kind of pick up things quickly is just a little bit different because of how much time they spend, being a pro. So I've always said, I said once I got the job here last year, Chicago, it makes sense for us to recruit internationally because of the city. It just makes sense. So didn't do it a whole lot at my other stops in my other Columbus and Indianapolis, and I doubt we could have gotten any international player to Boiling Springs, North Carolina. But I think the reality is this city, it fits for us to continue to recruit internationally. We're not going to go exclusive to it, but it fits.
When you talk about last year, obviously it's a brand new team. Everybody
Right.
had no expectations. There was no baseline set. How do you think those players that are back this year set that expectation? How do you think a presence like Brandon, other players like that can help lift that even further?
I just really want our focus to be on growth. I really do. I think we all want to see growth. That's what we want to see individually, collectively, as a program. We want to see growth. We don't know what that is going to look like, but that is really what we're going to focus on. And I think if we see that consistently, then the results will be what they'll be. But I think this is a group right now. You got a guy like CJ who's in his last year and NJ who's in the last year. They really do care about DePaul continuing to grow as a program, and that's exciting to me. And you got a guy like Brandon Macklin and KB. Those guys have been at a couple different schools. Nowadays, when you've been at a couple different schools and you're a young person and you're trying to figure out what really matters, what matters? To leave a place better than you found it. That matters. And that's something that a guy like Isaiah really bought into. It's third school. And as I've said before, he said last year, I just want to leave this place in a better place. And he did. So those guys are committed to that, I think.
With back to international recruiting for a second, with RevShare now sort of fully in the pipeline, there were a lot of schools this offseason that were going after international players that would never have considered it before,
Yeah.
or international players who were interested. For you, someone who had kind of gone in with that mindset, did that market change for you dramatically this summer, or were you sort of in the same pool of players you were before?
I got a little, you thought, hey, you have this idea going into it. We're going to be one of, a handful of schools that are going to recruit internationally, and then everybody was recruiting internationally. So what's going on here? We thought we would have, Brian Mullins, our staff member, assistant. Brian does a great job as a coach. He's a terrific coach. He went overseas both summers, spent a fair amount of time over there. So we had a real commitment to it financially. And we did see a much more competitive international market than maybe I anticipated when I took the job and said that's what we're going to do. We just saw a more competitive market for guys. So that, that presents some challenges, but I feel good about the ones that we've added.
Coach, just as international recruiting has obviously changed the landscape of the sport, teams are also more commonly hiring general managers now. You saw Providence and North Carolina kind of make some waves with theirs, but you guys are one of the very first Power 5 programs to hire one last offseason. How important was it for you to have LaVall Jordan as your GM from the jump, and how exciting is it for him to be in year two when most other schools are just now adding the role?
Well, it's a requirement. I give Dwayne, a lot of credit because he and Rob enabled us to be able to go and add a terrific staff. Like we talked about, Jack Owens is terrific, and on down the line with Brian and Brandon and Paris and LaVall. We just felt like it was important to be able to have someone that could be their primary focus. Now Laval also, does some coaching. It's a dual role, but and we have a young person, Drew Bryson, who's moved into our recruiting coordinator, because you kind of need someone else to be tracking transfer possibilities within our region, to be able to be gathering information. But it's a critical role, and Laval's done a really important job and a really good job, as has our whole staff.
With Cruz, is there any doubt of him being available for the opener in the beginning of November?
Yeah, I wish I could give you that answer right now. I don't know. I don't know. So if you'd say, is there any doubt? Yeah, there is doubt, because it'll be based on how he continues to progress.
Is it more of just getting him re-ramped up, or still the healing process?
A little of both, but he's close to getting fully healed. But the return to play process is probably what's in front of us the most. Conditioning, because he's been deconditioned for the last month. Strength, that stuff. You just don't want to put him in a difficult spot.
In terms of starting lineup, I guess, what are you kind of looking for? What type of conversations go into that?
Yeah, I think right now, we have a number of different ways we could go with that. I think we have kind of 3, potentially 4 positions that starting positions that could change. I think our rotation is fairly moving forward to getting closer and closer to being set. 9-10-man rotation, 8 to 10-man rotation. But I think the starting group, we as coaches are still looking to see kind of who is going to earn those positions, both in their practice and in their play. So, I wouldn't say right now we have 5 solidified that it's a definite right now. Those are still, like our team, still a work in progress and being evaluated daily.
When I was talking with CJ, he mentioned that during practice, him, NJ, and Layden, they like to push each other's buttons. Just what do you see from those 3 in those settings?
Nothing that I pay attention to be quite honest. It's a good question, but I don't, I'm sure they do. They're close. The 3 of them are close. They're good friends. So, you got good friends that you've been around, you're around all the day and all the time. And yeah, they have a way of poking each other, whether they're playing on the same team or different teams. You do hear more of that, but I probably don't hear as much as what goes on.
How much do you focus on what the rest of the Big East does in the offseason? You don't play them Big East opponents till the end of December, but how often during the offseason do you keep tabs on the schools you'll see twice?
During the offseason?
Yeah.
Or when they're not playing games,
Correct.
You're saying?
Correct. Like what they're doing in the portal recruiting-wise.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's hard not to. It's hard not to. Comparison can hurt you and really disrupt you as a leader, and so you can't do it too much. I think you got to be focused on what your vision is for your program and your mission is, outside of comparing your roster to other people's rosters. But it's hard not to. We had some teams in our league recruit really well in the portal, really well. So I think our league's poised to have another great year. So you kind of, keep an eye on it, but your focus is on what we feel like can move our program forward.
Just out of curiosity, exhibition games historically have been Division II, Division III opponents,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Why change it up a little bit and play Loyal up? Is there any?
Dwayne made me. No, it helps to be able to do this. My guess is most coaches would probably tell you they'd probably prefer a closed scrimmage, because you get so much out of that. And I think that's what most coaches would probably say. And I know some coaches doing 1-1. But Loyola is a great, like I said, a terrific program, and it's going to be a great local game. Notre Dame going there and then them coming back next year. That's right. DePaul and Notre Dame played for years for years. So to be able to have that for our fans, this is really, we'll get a lot out of it, but this is really about the program and about the fans. Because coaches will tell you that. They could bring in a great opponent like Loyola and spend 2.5 hours where you're just kind of able to do things without anything else. That's really productive as well, and that's what we did last year. But it's a real benefit, I think, to our fans, their fans. We'll go back to Loyola. Notre Dame will come here. So that's the real benefit of it.
Coach, one of the biggest questions you said you wanted to answer this offseason last time you spoke to us was you wanted to see how Kaman was coming along. Now that you kind of had obviously about 3 months since last time you talked to us, how's he been progressing as the season nears closer?
Good. Really coachable, number one. You saw him out there, good length, right? Right at 7'1". Has gotten more disciplined around the rim with his shot blocking and verticality and all the things that are important. He's conceptually understanding things here a little bit more offensively. So for Kaman, I think our challenge for him is going to be as a coaching staff, as the head coach, play him even when he's not quite ready in certain situations, because it will benefit us as the year goes on. So he's going to play. Loyola has a terrific center. Is he ready to go against him? I think that'll be a challenge for him, and that'll be really good for him. But we're going to throw him into those settings because we think it's important as the year goes on.
What has the team chemistry been like so far this season?
I'll tell you, good. I'll tell you more once we go through some hard things together. But it's been good, I think it's been good, but you know a lot about your team chemistry once you go through some hard stuff. So,
Coach, obviously you guys have such a deep front court this offseason, probably one of the deepest DePaul's had in quite a long time. Have you kind of thought about experimenting? Obviously NJ was at the 5 last year pretty much exclusively, but have you thought about maybe experimenting with putting like him at the 4, somebody else at the 5, and kind of playing with that depending on matchups? Or is it pretty much set that you'll have certain guys, certain positions?
We've talked about it. I don't think we're at that position yet. If Kaman really emerges and we feel like that's our best lineup as the year goes on, it's a possibility. We'd have to think through some things offensively, but that's a possibility, for certain matchups. Anything else, guys? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, just one to end on a lighter note. I asked all the players were coming up with a hype playlist for the DePaulia.
Oh,
And
yeah?
I asked them if they could ask one song, what would it be? So I'm asking you as their coach, if you could add one hype song to this playlist, what would your contribution be?
Wow, man. What is a hype playlist? Something to just get you hyped?
So like pre-game, like gets your
Yeah.
blood pumping.
Yeah. Do you know I'm a Swiftie?
Yes.
Okay. Cruel Summer, I love that. But probably, I'd probably go back to my growing up roots and probably U2, Where the Streets Have No Name.
What was your thoughts on Taylor's latest album?
Good, not her best work, but really good, really good.
I saw the ranking. I agree.
Did you? Yeah. So my daughter and I, we went out to LA to see her a few years ago, and it was an incredible experience. And I honestly, at that point, hadn't listened to a whole lot of Taylor Swift, but when you're in that environment, you got to go somewhat prepared. So, yeah, it was a great night for both of us. So, yeah, thanks for asking that. All right. Anything else?
The Boston Celtics, their coaching staff, scrimmage, their media,
Yeah.
charity. Would that be something you and your staff is open to?
Yeah, certainly we'd be open to that. Yeah. I saw the score. It was quite ugly.
So were
And
the bruises afterwards.
excuse me?
So were some of the bruises some of the media had.
I'm sure. Yeah, and that was. I don't know what any of your all's athletic capability is, but the score would be probably ugly as well for you guys. But yeah, it would be something fun to do. I saw that was obviously we got a connection to that staff a little bit there. That was a great idea. It was a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun with it. So unless you guys surprise me, we got some pretty good assistant coach. Brian Mullins is a pretty good player.
He's the one
So
who scared us.
yeah. So anything else, guys? Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Great seeing you guys.